The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Lord, be on my mind, be on my lips, and in my heart. When Judas had left them, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and God will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. I give you a new commandment: love one another as I have loved you. So you also should love one another. This is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." The Gospel of the Lord. I don't know about you, but I know that sometimes Jesus says things I don't understand, especially in the Gospel of John. Today, even though it's a resurrection, we go back to the scene of the Last Supper. And Judas leaves to go betray Jesus, and Jesus knows it. And Jesus says, "Now is the Son of Man glorified." Does that make any sense to you? Here's what I think God is saying. You see, God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son to reconcile us, to redeem us, to draw us back to himself. And you know, we humans can love by our natural power. It's normal for a mother or father to love their children, sisters and brothers to love each other, friends to love each other. But you got to admit, there's some people it seems like it's kind of hard to love. And when we do love others, it seems like we tend to, even if we don't realize it, expect them to love us back. When we're good to others and treat them right, we kind of like to be treated the same ourselves. But in this world, you know that doesn't always happen, right? And so our human love may fail at times. But what God is saying, and why Jesus says, "Now the Son of Man is glorified," as Judas goes to betray Jesus, because in this scene, as difficult as it is to look at, we see God's love. God's love continues to love even in the face of hate. God's love does not sin or retaliate even when people are sinning against us. God's love is all-powerful, the most powerful force on the earth, more powerful than even hate, sin, and death, because Jesus rose from the dead. And so Jesus gives us a new command in the gospel today. But you know, in the Old Testament, it did say, "Love your neighbor as yourself." So what's new about this command? What's new is Jesus says, "As I have loved you, so you must love others." Our human love can only go so far. And if we only try to love by human love, we're going to fall short. And so God's love exists in this world. And we can, as children of God, united to that love, love others in difficult situations. Now, in my life, I still fall short. Even trying to allow God's love to work through me. There are times in our lives when we have situations we don't know what the loving thing to do is. Right? Sometimes there's tough love, sometimes there's gentle love, there's all sorts of it in betweens. What's the loving thing to do? What's best for all people involved? But you know what? Even when we don't know the right thing to do, we can still know our motives. And we can look inside and say, Am I really trying to do what's best for everyone? Or am I hurt and I'm trying to hurt back? Am I upset and I'm just trying to get even? God's love is available to all of us. And that love, if we surrender to it, can heal our wounded and broken hearts so that they don't want to hurt others, but they want to do what's best. And so the only way we can really follow this command, love others as Jesus has loved us, is to more deeply surrender to God's love in our life and let that love live in our hearts to heal us, to put aside our selfishness, our egos, our agenda, our power trips, and to try to always do what's best in a situation. It's difficult. It's not easy. Sometimes it does look like that. And God is saying that even when it looks like that, don't despair. Continue to love, because out of death, out of what looks like a situation that there's no way out, God rose from the dead, and He has a way. And so today we have young men and young women, boys and girls, going to receive Jesus, the very love of God incarnate, present, because we cannot love only with our own power. It must be God within us. You're going to receive that Eucharist, as many of us are. That's the love of God, the power of God present in us, helping us to surrender more in our hearts to that love so that then we can love others. And then, how does the church grow? There's many problems in the world, right? How we solve all the problems? The one common denominator is if we all loved, the world would be the kingdom of God, would it not? And so, if we can learn and fall more deeply in love, try our best to love others, others will see in our actions love. And they'll wonder where that love comes from that looks even like that. And they'll want that love for themselves. And we will be evangelizing by displaying God's love, showing that to all people, and inviting them to give their hearts to Jesus. Today, let us fall more deeply in love. And let us have the courage, the love in the difficult situations, the hope and the trust, because God can make a way out of no way. God raises up from the dead Jesus Christ. The power of love has conquered all things. Let us surrender to that. Let us show that to one another, and let us invite others into that love.